All right, what's up? So we're gonna talk about hook grip and how beneficial it can be if you learn how to do it properly, right? So a lot of people avoid hook grip altogether because it becomes really, really painful. Honestly, if it's really painful, chances are you're not doing it properly, okay? So by going through a couple of tips that I'm about to give you, it will make hook grip not only a lot less painful, but extremely beneficial when it comes to improving mechanics like deadlifting, clean and jerk, or even snatches. Now, I'm gonna dive into the positioning for deadlifts specifically. There are a couple of changes when it comes to doing like cleans and snatches because you're essentially trying to propel the bar from ground to overhead. So there's some actions and there's some changes in force production. So we don't want to necessarily do exactly the same setup and execution of the hook grip when we do Olympic lifting versus traditional like deadlifting. So today's video is just about hook grip when it comes to deadlifting, okay? And how to improve that, how to make it less painful, and then a couple of tips to get you to a place where you feel very, very confident in your hook grip abilities. So let's talk about hook grip. Now, the first mistake that I usually see people make when it comes to performing their hook grip is they tend to push the thumb straight forward across the bar and then just grab their thumb with all four fingers, and they assume that this is just how it's done. You just grab the thumb and you start pulling. This is usually where people say, hey, it is extremely painful. In fact, I cannot hold even the bar by itself without feeling like my nail is gonna peel off. That's an awful feeling. It shouldn't be like that. What you want to do when it comes to positioning the thumb, and that's probably most important here, is when you go and you push into the bar. Now let's say I'm coming down, right, because I'm deadlifting, I'm going to reach down. When I push into the bar, I'm going to angle myself so that you can see my hand. I'm going to push just about as hard as I can into the crease between my thumb and my pointer finger. Now, there's a lot of people out there that say, hey, my hands are really small, there's no way I can do hook grip. I promise you, I have athletes that are literally below the height of 5 foot and they can do hook grip. Their hands are probably half the size of mine and they can perform hook grip. Now, even my hands, I have a very large palm and actually pretty short fingers, and I'm able to perform hook grip without any issues. So I promise you that 99% of people out there can do hook grip effectively. Now, you may be one of those outliers that your hands really just cannot work the hook grip, but I promise you, if you practice enough, just like anything, you can get proficient at that action, okay? So let me go back to where we started. I'm going to push the bar into the crease between my thumb and my pointer finger. Now, really important here, instead of going straight across the bar with my thumb, I'm actually gonna turn my thumb sideways to go align with the bar. Okay? Because what I want to do is I want to actually use my pointer finger and my middle finger to grab the knuckle of my thumb, not necessarily just the nail, okay? You have the most nerve endings right near the tip of your thumb, okay? And you have less nerves towards the palm of the hand. So if you're putting all the pressure on the tip of your thumb, it is going to be extremely painful, okay? So push into the bar as hard as you can, or if you're coming down, of course, we push down to get our palm, okay, as deep into the bar as possible, okay? So push into the bar, take your thumb across like that, and then you're gonna use your pointer finger and ring finger to go ahead and grab across the thumb, okay? So you are gonna grab right across the knuckle with the middle finger, and then you're gonna use your pointer finger to actually try to reach the knuckle in itself, okay? So it looks something like that. Now, for me, what I've found that I don't try to do is use my ring finger or pinky to grab any part of my thumb. I actually find it much more effective to just go ahead and grab the bar in itself. This not only doesn't put as much strain on the thumb, but it allows me to kind of set a little more grip when it comes to the bar itself, okay? Now, once I have pushed into the bar, it is really, really important the way in which we set our hand. So I've covered the fact that how we hold our thumb is just used with these two fingers here, and that the thumb goes across in line with the bar, okay? The pinky and the ring finger are just gonna grab the bar in itself. But what is really, really helpful for making sure that your grip not only stays strong and is not painful is how you execute in order, okay? So what I tend to do is push into the bar. I'm gonna grab the knuckle with my pointer finger and my middle finger. So I start internally, right? Grabbing the thumb. I'm gonna go externally to wrap the ring finger and pinky around the bar, right? So I start here, thumbs, ring finger, pinkies, and then I'm going to externally rotate and twist. So I start with internal rotation to get as far into the bar as I can, wedge that bar into my hand in itself, grab my thumbs while I'm here, grab the bar with my ring finger and pinkies, twist the bar back out, right? And now I have external rotation where I don't have to death grip it, guys. That's another common mistake that I will see with hook grip is that people assume that when you're setting your hook grip that you need to squeeze your forearms, your grip, your arms, your shoulders as hard as possible. That's not necessarily our goal, because if you're flexing these muscles along your arms, especially like the bicep area, you're probably gonna keep things tense, maybe even keep the joint from relaxing some, which is gonna make it a lot harder for you to generate force with your trunkier lower body, because your upper body, especially like your arms, can only support so much weight, much less weight than what you can properly deadlift because you're using your entire posterior chain, okay? So once you set your grip and you get your hands set and you twist, you can actually relax the arms in itself. Now, I'm not relaxing my grip so much. I'm not trying to death grip it and just give it everything I got. But if I set my hands just the way that I instructed you, right, then I have no issue just kind of relaxing pretty much everything from about the shoulder down to about the wrist area. And I need to focus more on lat depression, wedging, bracing properly, and then executing my deadlift accordingly. Okay, so super simple, guys. Now, here's a couple of tips that can also help. So let's say that you are performing more than 3 reps, okay? That is typically where I will see, even with this setup, it does become somewhat uncomfortable. The reason that is it's not the setup's fault. It is because when the bar returns to the floor, each and every rep that you perform, the bar is going to bounce. It's a shock absorption. It's when the bar meets rubber matting or flooring, whatever it is, the bar is going to shift around. As it shifts around, it's shifting around in your hands, which is unevenly placing the bar across your hand and potentially your thumb. So you're essentially kind of working away from what you just spent time setting up. Okay, so anything over 3 reps is probably going to be a little uncomfortable. So I tend to use hook grips for shorter rep schemes or potentially 1 set of high repetition. And then you can implement things like wrist straps. Now, you're saying to yourself, why would I use wrist straps? I'm trying to improve my grip strength. You're absolutely right. But wrist straps are a great way so that you can continue to introduce hook grip, but you're not trying to overwhelm yourselves, guys. There's still going to be this time period that it's going to take your skin to build up calluses to basically get used to this new stimulus or pressure on your hand, okay? It is not going to be super easy on the hand. It's still going to be somewhat challenging, but a lot less painful than if you just grab your thumb like I mentioned earlier in the video. So wrist straps can be a great addition so that if you go through, let's say you got 3 sets of 5, maybe try to knock out the first set of 5 with hook grip, and then if it starts to become uncomfortable, have the wrist wraps ready to go. Try hook grip for a couple of reps. Once it becomes uncomfortable, go ahead and take the hook grip away. But it's really important that you use wrist straps, because when you're doing hook grip, you have a double pronated hand position, which means you have symmetry across the joints in the upper body. It also means in this position, you are much more likely to be able to use your lats to pull the bar into your hips, okay? My other tip for you is thumb tape. Weightlifters have been using thumb tapes for years to help save their skin. Now, when you're doing Olympic weightlifting movements, the bar is rotating some because, again, we're throwing it from ground to overhead. So there is some rotation involved. So the thumb tape is really helpful for them because the bar is literally potentially rotating in the palm in itself, and that can cause some discomfort in the skin, okay? So using a little bit of thumb tape to wrap your thumb, especially around like the knuckle area, can be really helpful for reducing some of the stress. Now, obviously you can't use any of this in competition, but it is a great way to help just develop calluses, desensitize your hands, so on and so forth, okay? Over time, I would recommend working away from the thumb tape, okay? Unless you have some torn skin, and in that case, what you need to do is you need to start managing your calluses better. Some callus buildup is good. Excessive callus buildup is when people have skin tears, and it's on them, okay? What I do is I started, for me example, about 5 years ago, pulling hook grip. I started with thumb tape on my thumbs. For about 3 to 4 months, I worked with thumb tape on my thumbs, and then I worked from thumb tape on my thumbs to actually wrapping the bar. So you can work away from even putting the thumb tape on your actual skin to putting some thumb tape just in the area where you place your thumb. Because the knurling is typically what tends to cause people the most discomfort sometimes if they set their hands the way I ask them to, right? The next thing would be is the knurling in itself. So by putting a little bit of thumb tape on the bar in this area, this is another good way to kind of segue into not using anything at all but your hands to perform your deadlifts. So a couple of months of putting tape on the bar was effective for me, and then over time I slowly worked away from tape on the bar at all. And now all I perform is hook grip, and I throw in straps if necessary, if my hands just start to become pretty sore, I'm doing high volume, etc., etc. But anything less than 3 reps, I definitely encourage you to try to use your hook grip as much as possible, because the more you practice, the more effective it's gonna be for you on competition or when you test your maxes. All right, guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to hit me back. Otherwise, I'll talk to you soon.